Good evening. Welcome once again, and thank you for joining us on another exciting edition of the Economic Forum Show. I am your host, YUSUF, and as usual, we are joined with our Professor ABBASS MOHAMMED EL-KHAMIS Ali. Watch us live this every Monday on our Facebook page at YUSUF TV. Like, share, and leave a comment at the comment section below. Today on the show, we are going to hold discussions on transformation and sustainable development. And specifically, we will hold discussions on re-engineering Ghana's economic model for sustainable development. Stay tuned, like, and also leave a comment at the comment section. And as usual, anyone who has a contribution to the show can also drop the comment, his or her contribution at the comment section. Professor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Professor, we do really appreciate your timing and your your valuable insight on the show as always. This has been one of the most educative economic discussion programs so far, so good, and we really thank you very much, Professor. Today we are going to hold discussions on economic transformation and sustainable development, and we will center our discussions on re-engineering Ghana's economic model for sustainable development. First of all, when we talk about economic transformation and sustainable development, what does it mean in the context of Ghana?
Once again, thank you, viewers, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we continue to have these discussions because the current events, the geopolitical shifts in the world,
Mm,
will guide our discussion in ensuring that Ghana is placed in a better place to take advantage of what is going on around us. As you all know, there's a shift that's going towards the BRICS and the other, South Side Corporation that we must be placed in order to
yeah.
take advantage of that shift. All right, the
Yeah.
power is gradually shifting from the West and
Mm,
is going into the hands of the Southside Corporation, particularly the
yeah.
BRICS and the rest of the world. Those of us in Africa need to be aware of where the shift is happening and place
Yeah.
ourselves in a way that we can actually take advantage of this shift.
Mm,
So, and to do that, we have to understand that the old economic system is not going to cut it. We have to change certain things. And that's
mm,
why this topic is very, very important. That
yeah.
our economic system needs to be transformed. Not only must it be transformed, it must also be sustainable. So when we talk about economic transformation, we are talking about a shift in Ghana's growth model
Mm,
that are from like a perspective of factor driven. All right,
yeah.
meaning move away from raw materials, raw commodities,
Yeah.
informal services to productivity driven economy, where we have more value added industry and
Yeah.
tradable services, which will also mean that we must have a deeper supply chain linkages and technology adoption across all sectors. So that is
Okay.
what transformation is going to look like.
Okay.
And for it to be sustainable, that is the next level, where in doing so, we must ensure that the transformation doesn't exhaust our natural capital, meaning we must ensure practices that will ensure that the future generation are also going to benefit from every activity that we pursue today.
Yeah.
So it must include jobs and income growth across all regions and social classes.
Mm,
And then that stability must ensure that inflation is kept low, sustainable debt, and resilience to shocks that are either weather related, commodity, or finance, and ensure that the future generation can also take advantage of our activities that we pursue today. So
yeah.
these are what we're going to call economic transformation and sustainable development.
Yeah, Professor, thank you very much. Professor, how do these two concepts connect? And when we talk of re-engineering Ghana's economic model for sustainability, why is it important for to be achieved?
It is important for it to be achieved in the sense that this pathway is the only way we can accelerate our growth. Because without productivity gains, we cannot see ourselves growing past where we are. the current structure that we have is not gonna, bring systematic and continuous growth in terms of achievement. If you
Yeah.
look at it, that's why we are in circles, and we always have to run to IMF for bailouts, is because we are not aggressive with what we actually want in terms of productivity. If we can transform our structure beyond raw commodities, then we are standing to start seeing serious growth. But until then, everything we do comes back as a small gain. So
Yeah.
if you want to doubt that, ask yourself, since independence,
Mm.
1957, we have not seen serious significant growth as far as our economy is concerned. It's simply
Yeah.
because there's no economic transformation or revolution of what our structures are going to be.
Yeah.
Are we the number one producers of chocolate and we have cocoa? No. How many refineries of gold do we have? Where is our jewelry market in Ghana?
Yeah.
So you can't stay on raw commodities and grow. And that's why we need the transformation to happen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Excellent. Uh, Professor, what are the key weaknesses in Ghana's current economic model? Yeah, actually, viewers, I think we have lost Professor on the line, but he will join us very shortly. And we are currently holding discussions on economic transformation and sustainable development. Professor, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Professor,
Okay.
what are the key weaknesses in Ghana's economic model so far?
So far, like I said, I've already alluded to the fact that we must move from raw commodity export to you know concentration of exports that are dominated by refined fuels, vehicles, rice, and stuff like that. That's the level we must go. So we must move from a shallow processing approach where
Yeah,
our exports must actually be dominated by importation of things that are much more valuable to us. Okay, so we
yeah,
must add value to the raw commodities and then export them in order for us to gain, uh, you know, greater benefits. And then
yeah,
number two, another weakness we have is the macroeconomic fragility that we have, where despite our gains, like right now in inflation and policy rate of 25%, inflation of 12.1%, we still see vulnerability in our debt and
yeah.
forex liquidity. And we have small fiscal buffers. Should an external shock happen to them, we don't have a
Mm,
lot of buffers. All we have is little reserve to get us out of trouble. So
yeah,
these are macroeconomic fragility that's in the system. The third one that comes to mind is to look at the debt that we have that's overhanging on us.
yeah.
All right, and then over, uh, you know, dependence on external finances like the IMF.
Okay.
All right. So we are over dependent on these institutions and we must move away from that.
Yeah,
Then we must also finally look at our industrial base, which is so thin. All right. We must look at expanding our factories. All right.
yeah,
We have to be able to have a strong manufacturing sector. All right. In the goods that we produce, like the production of rice, we should be able to
yeah.
do our own. All right. And then
Oh,
adding value to something like cocoa. So this is very, very important. Yes.
yeah. Professor, how can Ghana balance industrialization and environmental sustainability in the pursuit of economic transformation?
That is something we have to be aware of, and I know Ghana has written a lot of charters on how we can have environmental sustainability.
Yeah,
But I will also add to the fact that we must approach the standard first strategy, which requires that our energy and water efficiency, all right, for new plants, we have to tie the tax incentive for specific environmental KPIs. So if
Okay.
we are to pursue any activity, whether it's in the energy sector or the water sector, we have to have some environmental KPIs. Even in our mining, what is the KPI for mining? What are we looking out for? Because we
Mm.
have a mining activity that's going on that's destroying our environment.
Yeah.
So we have to have a balance. Yes, it's good that we need the money from the gold, but at what cost?
Mm.
And if there is a cost, where do we mitigate the cost or minimize the cost on the environment and the future generation? Because
Yeah.
anytime we mention sustainability and environment, we saying that we are pursuing an activity today that if we don't have serious KPIs, is going to affect the future generation in terms of the environment that we're going to leave for them.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying is that anything we're going to do in the midst of industrialization should have a KPI that brings it back to the environment where we maintain our environment. For example, if you
Mm.
are to mine the gold
Yeah.
legally, first we have to get rid of Galamsey. And that's a tax that I'm waiting to see how we can handle that. So,
Mm.
so far, all the governments haven't been able to achieve that. And we're waiting for this government to actually achieve Galamsey, successfully. It
Yeah.
looks like we can lip service to it. But if we're going to go beyond Galamsey, what are our environmental KPIs? How many waters are we destroying now that we're going to put a measure of where we should actually mine and at what cost? And what is the recovery strategy? Because these are all external costs, all
Yeah.
right, to the environment. So we have to have that. So, and then if you talk about industrialization, the second thing we have to think about is the power mix transitions, where as we accelerate utility, you know, scale, we have to look at like the solar,
Yeah.
all right? Solar and gas for, base load as a bridge while our grid losses are reduced, like the power outages. We can reduce it by incorporating solar technology, align it with the government energy transition and investment plan to lower your marginal emissions of a new industry. So these are
Mm.
all things that we should look at. And I already mentioned mining and critical minerals,
Yeah.
which where we should legislate the community revenue shares. All right. As we destroy in our environment in the course of mining, where is the gains for the community and what are they able to gain that will, like replace or should I say compensate for what they are giving up in terms of the environment destruction that we incurring on these communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
And yeah. And
Where is the
so far.
transparent royalties for
Mm.
these communities?
Yeah.
How much? What is the royalty for Boise and these places that are known for all these resources? All right. So we
Yeah.
have to have that in revising our mining laws to link
Mm.
the gross sales shares to local development and to modernize the line system to reduce galamsey. So we have
Yeah.
a whole lot of work to do when it comes to balancing industrialization and environmental sustainability.
Yeah, Professor, with regards to Galamsey, I think there was a famous saying that people said that it will get to a point whereby Ghana will have to import water from other countries, looking at the nature of its destruction to the natural environment. And this has been a challenge for both governments. Now, Professor, when we talk about the future of Ghana's economic sustainability, what role should agriculture and agro processing play in terms of driving Ghana's economic future?
Agriculture play a critical role in the sense that the minimum expectation of agriculture for
Mm.
us is to have an agricultural system that will give us food sufficiency, all right, where we are able to feed ourselves. That's number one. Until we can have an agriculture system that will allow us to be able to feed ourselves instead of importing more than 40% of what we eat. Why can't we change the narrative to be 80% of what we eat at home, grown? Then beyond that, we can prioritize our tree crops like the cashew, shea,
Mm.
coconut, rubber, oil palm, and mango. All these are three crops that we should look at and see how we can monetize it. All right. So
Yeah.
we can export not just the raw export, but also processing them. All right. Shea butter, cashew, kernels, coconut products, all of these can be processed over here before they sent out. But at the current state, we are allowing it to go at a cheaper cost where the benefit is very small. So if we are indeed transforming, agriculture is going to be key. And we already talk about cocoa, which is something that we have to do well on. We've been in cocoa production for how many years? And we're
Mm.
still vulnerable to
Yeah.
world price changes. All right. And then
Mm.
we haven't even infused technology into productivity where
Yeah.
we are still exposed to the vulnerabilities of weather and diseases.
Yeah.
By this time, we should have figured out cocoa, how to double cocoa productivity, being that we've been in cocoa production for God knows how long.
Mm.
And we still here not infusing technology into the processes to increase our productivity. And
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
take it to the next level, manufacture, be the number one producer of cocoa products,
Cocoa. Yeah.
like chocolate.
Mm.
Why are we not number one producer of good chocolates? So this is where the conversation needs to happen if we are indeed to industrialize and transform the economy.
Yeah. Professor, speaking of technology, there is a critical question here. To what extent can digitalization and technological innovation accelerate Ghana's economic transformation?
I think to what extent, I would say to a larger extent, because we're coming in late into the game. And there is a lot of good examples we can leverage in terms of technology. And one key example that I'm looking at that we're leaving right now is the not leveraging Ghana card. All right. We did a
Okay.
good job in identifying, the potential of Ghana card and what it would do to the economy. But I don't
Mm.
think we have, from what I've seen, I just came from Ghana, from what I've seen, I don't think we are taking advantage of what Ghana can do in terms of digitalizing the economy and making
Mm.
sure that we have the ability to take advantage of it across all institutions. That's what I mean. This should be the number one identifier for an individual and businesses as well. I don't know why Ghana Cash should only be for an individual. We have to have a similar solution for businesses as well. Because the reason why I say both individuals and businesses is that when you have a comprehensive identity, it
Yeah.
allows you be able to identify not only individuals but businesses as well in your revenue mobilization. So we
Yeah.
can get advantage in how we tax even businesses because of this unique identifier. And
Mm.
each identifier has a lot of biometric information that is unique to one particular individual, whoever registers that business. So everything brings it back to accountability. So these are the systems that we are building. But I'm waiting to see how we can use it across all institutions, number one.
Mm.
And then we should also manage and, expand on our mobile money interoperability, where
Okay.
mobile money is acceptable almost everywhere. All right.
Mm.
How we can move it seamlessly across all institutions, banks, all of that. These are all advantages that we can do. And then, of course, the digitalization and technology, we have to be able to have, the digital hubs to take advantage of these two industry, the fintech and then whatever digital assets that we have, where we can actually leverage because we have the tech hubs to actually bring solutions and identify services and products that we can accelerate our growth. And there are
Yeah.
examples everywhere. So it
Mm.
depends on what are the goals here. Do we see the potential of that? I know the answer is yes. For the most part, if you look at what the previous administration has done in getting us here with Ghana Card and what this administration is trying to do with some of the deals they've secured as far as tech investment is concerned. So,
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot of potential there. So, I'm waiting to see where we go from here.
Mm. Yeah, Professor, you did give an example about how we should manage our cocoa and natural resources. Some say Ghana is an import-driven economy, and other bet to differ or disagree. But how can Ghana reduce over reliance on natural resources exports, like the gold and the cocoa example that you gave earlier on? How can we reduce its export to build a diversified economy?
So, is to add value to it. It's as simple as that. So, if you look at it, for example, if Ghana can position itself as a regional processing hub for products such as cocoa, cashew, rubber, aluminum,
Yeah.
petrochemicals, byproducts for like duty-free African markets,
Mm.
then we can start gaining the advantage of, the regional African regional corporations,
Okay.
where we have $1 trillion market, $1 trillion in that market, the African region, and we haven't even taken advantage of that. And we
Okay.
can use that to actually bridge into Asia and Europe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Once we begin seriously processing some of these products that we are, exporting at the raw stage, we can begin to take advantage and change the narrative and move
Mm.
away from export driven economy,
Mm.
all right, of raw materials into a processing hub. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we
But
have
Professor,
the fintechs.
yeah, to chip this in, you are speaking of how we can process our own natural resources here in Ghana, right? But is
Yes.
that achievable? Do we have the adequate industries or manufacturing companies to do that here in Ghana?
We don't have most of the industries, but we can get them done. You can
Okay.
look at Burkina. Burkina was in processing tomatoes some 5 years ago or 8 years ago. They weren't doing that. Now, how many tomato processing companies do they have? They have about four, according to the last time I checked. So if it's not here, doesn't mean that we cannot do it. We have the
Okay.
product, we have the raw materials. That's the most difficult thing, which is what the West don't have.
Yeah.
The West don't have the raw materials, but they have the brain to set up companies to process your raw materials. So what is
Yeah.
wrong with you who has the product and you sitting on it and sending it to them to process it for you? Only for you to buy it more than 300% more. Does it even make sense that we continue to do this
No.
since independence? It does not. What does it take to set up a manufacturing industry for cocoa? The technology, the know-how is everywhere. You set up the company, China will help you figure it out. You
And you
figure
also
it out
have
how
the
to
labor.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
you
have
also
the
have the
labor, you have
labor.
the human capital. So I
Yeah.
don't know what is holding us back. It's the drive, the will to get it done, to put our hands on the problem. I think that's the problem. I think we're comfortable where we are, sending the product out and waiting for the money to come in. But those money don't cut it. We can make twice or three times the money if we slow down and process this. In doing so, you're giving people jobs
Yeah.
because this money comes and it goes only in the hands of few. They're not using it to create companies for us on the other side. So why can't we process these, open opportunities for youth to get into these companies, make their own money, and
Mm.
they don't have to bother you because they have a job to do. So that's why I said we need to build regional hubs. If
Mm.
as Africans, everybody will look at what God has, given them in terms of resources,
Yeah.
they can build their own, regional hubs everywhere. Like Ghana, we have cocoa, cashew, aluminum, and some other products. We
Yeah.
focus on that. That's what we call international trade. When we say international trade, we're looking at competitive advantage, where the things you have competitive advantage on are the things you're going to produce. And you sell it across to other countries that don't have what you have. Then you bring in what is it that you don't have.
Yeah.
But we're not even trading the right way. Everything we're doing does not make sense in the sense that we're sending them in the wrong stage. And that's what needs to change. We need to learn to add value to all these potential products that we have.
Yeah.
And it's not rocket science. Technology is here, know how is here. It goes back to the concept that we have what we call the advantage of backwardness.
Mm.
We are coming in so late. Everything we're looking to do, the technology is out there. So you don't even have to dig too much to get a factory that can process cocoa. You don't have to do too much to figure out how to refine gold. We have one
Yeah.
refinery or two. So we can do this. So it's not something, it's just the will and the execution of these things.
Yeah.
Every party will tell you that they want to do this, but how many of it do we get done?
Mm.
I don't know. It's very difficult to process it in the sense that when you speak to these leaders, they know exactly what to do. But the question is, will they do it?
Yeah. Yeah. Professor, don't you think this culture of abandoning government projects due to the change of government is also playing a critical role in causing doing more harm than good? Because now you have given us a blueprint of, since you have the natural resources, all you need is to set up the industries and the processing companies. But here we are in a case whereby these governments come in power and establish a certain project, and then it will be abandoned after the end of the government's tenure. So what do you have to say on this, and how is this contributing to the problem that we have today?
So what we need to do, I think we've spoken about this, is you can't go past the fact that we don't have structures or institutions in place that is built on economic growth that are independent of our daily politics.
Yeah.
All right. Until we can come up with those models or models of institution that will ensure that we are moving forward, even if it's 1% growth, but it's consistent. Because if we had started moving 1% consistently since 1957, we would have achieved growth that is maybe equivalent to 100% growth in the economy, transformation, total transformation of the economy. But what
Yeah.
do we see? Zigzag growth, long term growth. You go right, you go forward a little bit, you come back 5 steps. Then you go forward 1 step. Then you come back 5 steps. Why? Because there's nothing in the middle holding it together. When I say nothing in the middle, is an institution that ensures that despite our political changes, our growth
Mm.
is still on course. That if we are building roads, the management and the oversight of that road is not only in the political hands, meaning it's not only in the hands of the current day or present day government and the
Yeah.
parliament, but rather an institutions that is leading and overseeing this growth to ensure that we can get to the finish line. And that regardless of who comes in power, we continue moving. So
Mm.
what I'm saying is that to look at the models of institutions that have that. We mentioned Singapore has something like that the
Mm.
last time, and you can go to Botswana. They have a little example of how they ensure that the economic development growth has a budget that is untouched. That
Mm.
no matter what happens to the budget, they have a percentage that's given to economic growth. If it's roads, infrastructure, no matter what is happening, you cannot take that money away. And there's a team set in place to ensure that we keep going the right direction. Do we have such a thing in Ghana? Or you can look at US and say, okay, how do they do things? Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is said to be independent of the present day government. Yes, you can appoint someone to the board, but the person will outlive you. you will go out of power and the person still serves on the board. So in that case, whose interest is he serving? The nation, not yours. Yes,
Yeah.
you brought him to the table, but he's going to continue to work with people that were also voted by another party to be on the same table. And now they have nothing but to focus on the nation moving forward. And that's what we have in the United States in
Mm.
the form of Federal Reserve. India has a similar thing. So until we also look at ourselves and be like, okay, this MPP and DC thing is not working because whatever Muhammad does today, I can guarantee you he's not going to do everything he set out to do. Yes, he's launching everything, like at a rapid speed. Yes. But how many of it will get to the finish line? It's probably about 20%.
Yeah.
20%, what about 80% that needs to be completed? Who's going to ensure that if NDC doesn't win power next 3 years? Nobody can ensure that.
Yeah.
Because what is true is that MPP will not continue that project.
Mm.
80% of those projects will be abandoned. What did we
Yeah.
just do? Resources wasted. So instead of that, why don't we, as people, set up a commission by law to exist to manage these projects? Not MPP, not NDC.
Mm.
People that are going to be appointed are technocrats and experts in economics in identifying, number one, what are our pain points. Because right now we're running on NDC agenda. That's not how you grow a nation. We need a national agenda, not NDC agenda, not MPP agenda. So set up a team to develop the agenda, manage, execute up to completion, and monitor the projects.
Yeah.
So regardless of who comes to power, this team will continue to manage these products as we go. All you need to do as a political party is to seek funds and give them the money and the mandate to continue ensuring that they are the one dishing out the contracts, not the politicians. And these are people who are going to come from all walks of life. If you
Yeah.
want all parties involved, the majority parties should have maybe 30-30, the rest of them another 30, and then whatever. The whole nation is represented at that table. And
Yeah.
tell me we're not going to move forward. Because it's not going to be MPP having 50 and NDC. No, we can't work like that. It's going to
Yeah.
be everybody represented on that table. And then supported by law to exist and continue to exist at a term that is not mimicking our political calendar. Their term is going to be longer because economic development activities doesn't take 4 years to get anything done. 4 years is a joke. You cannot even get started. By the time you research and figure out what is it that it takes for you to even implement, it's about 2 years for you to really get an idea of what you need to get it going. Now you start implementing. Year one is your third year in power. So how are you going to execute anything? So we need to have a different term. That's why in the United States they're serving for 12 years on the board because economics is not something that you do with politics 4 years and then you think you can achieve anything. You cannot do anything in 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's time we look at ourselves and say that this is not working. The politics, you want to leave the politicians for 4 years, that's your problem. I don't have any problem with that. But our
Mm.
management, economic management team need to be experts on economic development, and their term needs to match reality. The fact that no economic project that is transformative, like the one we're looking for in our discussion right now,
Mm.
will 4 years will be able to deliver that. No, it cannot be delivered in 4 years. Therefore, we need people who are going to sit on that board in managing our projects that will continue to exist regardless of who started them. So we have some levels of continuity. And then you can bring the funds for them to execute. And these guys are our people that will ensure that we get to the finish line when the project is started. So
Yeah.
that's the only way we can fight that.
Exactly. And of course, the former U.S. President Barack Obama said Ghana should build a strong institutions if we want to progress economically. Professor, now let's talk about inclusive growth and in relations to economic imbalances. What policies can ensure inclusive growth so that economic transformation would benefit across all classes, not just the elite at the top.
Uh, I think we have to look at examples. You see, we are at an advantage. The fact that we waited so long for us to even start having these discussions, some of us, all
Mm,
right? And the advantage that we have is that there are good examples out there. That if we really mean to transform the economy and the country, then we have example to leverage. So when it comes to inclusive growth, nobody would, argue against decentralizing the way we manage our affairs. That's number one we have to do.
mm,
I'm with the opinion that the municipalities, district
yeah,
assemblies should
mm,
be decentralized for the local people to vote their leadership and manage their own resources. And chiefs, for the first time, uh, you know, uh, must ensure active role. They
yeah,
must play active role in economic development because they own the lands. The most
mm,
important factor of production is in the hands of our chiefs. But I don't see the alignment of our chiefs and our growth in terms of ensuring inclusive growth.
yeah,
So if the chiefs owns the land, they own the land, then they must be included in our agenda of growth. That's number one inclusivity that we need.
yeah,
And the only way we can achieve that is if we break the central government running the municipalities. The chiefs with the municipalities, the leaders, can figure out what is needed. And when they do that, they could even give us a clean municipal environment to operate. Because when
yeah,
you have the person who's controlling the land, and then you have the administrators of government or the leadership of the community coming together, guess what's going to happen? They will delineate the local economy or municipality to ensure that we have the necessary infrastructure that we need. Is it roads that we need within our communities? Is it water? Is it electricity? These municipalities with the chiefs will figure it out because now they know this is our community. We have to develop it our way. All we need is for the central government to give us the funds where necessary or allow us to collect the funds by mandate. And you see the chiefs and municipalities working together to develop their own affairs.
yeah.
So that's inclusivity number one that we need. But here
Okay.
we have the chiefs in a different tangent, and then they're being pushed municipal leaders that probably has never lived in the local community. How are you going to have an alignment of an agenda when you're trying to grow and include everyone? So we have to have that.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have to have programs that go beyond Accra.
Hmm.
If it's jobs, we shouldn't concentrate everything in Accra. Where are the offices in our local districts and communities? How many people are even aware of the resources that this administration is doing as far as job employment is concerned? Where
Yeah.
is the conversation happening? It cannot only be in Accra. Where are our job centers in our local communities? All right. These are things that is happening in the West in terms of ensuring inclusivity
Mm,
as far as growth is concerned.
yeah.
Offices that are in your local community, SME, tech hub, in your local community. Where do you go to seek advice if you're a small business?
Yeah.
Where's the office you can go to? Do we have such offices? Yeah, we do. But what about your area? Where are you going to go? If you need someone to sit down with and share an idea of what you're thinking of doing, where do you go? What
Mm,
are the resources? So this is where we begin. All
yeah.
right. So the basics, the examples are out there. You go to London, they have job center. You come here, we have workforce offices. And these are localized offices there to serve, whoever is looking for a job, help you with your resume, build your resume,
Mm, yeah.
opening you up to the jobs in the areas that you have expertise on, If you're a small business, show you where the resources are. Sometimes they have the resources, capital, access to funds. They have it themselves in there. If they don't, they have partners they will align you with. So you're not alone in trying to figure out things.
Yeah.
So this is how you build an inclusive growth. It shouldn't be centralized in Accra. We have to decentralize.
Yeah.
All right. The tech
Professor, yeah.
hubs, all these initiatives we keep talking about
Mm.
has to be localized. And that's how we can ensure growth that
Yeah,
is
Professor, thank you
inclusive.
very much. Thank you very much. Dear cherry viewers, you can also leave a comment at the comment section below as this discussion is going on. We are currently holding discussions on transformation, economic transformation, and sustainable development, and our emphasis is on re-engineering Ghana's economic model for sustainable development. Professor, now let's talk about our FDI, foreign direct investment. How can Ghana attract and retain foreign direct investment without necessarily compromising national interest or national goals?
I think we've seen the reaction of the current administration when they get exposed to some of the contracts that we sign in our gold, deals, and
Yeah.
they were baffled by the percentage that we are actually taking home. As
Mm.
somebody who's providing our environment to be destructed and our gold to be taken out.
Yeah.
So we have to be very serious for once. If you want to ensure sustainability,
Yeah.
then you have to have predictable rules and contract transparency.
Mm.
Everybody needs to know that our gold is being explored at this percentage ROI coming to us. Is it 50% ROI? What are the rules? How much are these institutions giving back to us? We talked about sustainability.
Mm.
Environment will be destructed. How do you compensate for the environment? How
Yeah.
many schools are you building in place of that? How many industries are you opening for our youth
Mm.
who are not going to be able to take advantage of the environment that you are destroying so they could make
Yeah.
their lives better on the other end? Education,
Mm.
do you give them scholarships? So these are all predictable rules and contract transparency that we need.
Mm.
So we can ensure that our environmental and community obligations in mining and large manufacturing are hardwired, that we know exactly how we're going from here to there. That is the only way we can do that. If we're not transparent with some of these contracts, then we only finding out after every 4 years what the other party did. That is so bad. And it's too late.
Yeah.
How many times are we going to be reversing contracts? Because it's not good for your image when it comes to foreign direct investment. Nobody will like to trade with you or do
Mm.
business with you if you keep changing contracts.
Yeah.
But the question is, what are the rules that we must set so every single government knows
Mm.
how the negotiation must go and what is the minimum expectation of returns ROI for our mining resource? What is
Yeah.
the minimum? Is it 20%, 30%? Who's setting the rules?
Mm.
Has it ever been negotiated at Parliament for us to say, okay, this is the cap? The minimum expectation for return on investment in our mining resource is 20%, non negotiable. You can negotiate higher if you're a good government, but worst case scenario, give us 20%. And that for each community that you destroy,
Mm.
you will give 50,000 students scholarship, higher tertiary education. Can we do that? These are rules we have to set to ensure that we have sustainability because environments are going to be destroyed. Water
Yeah.
resources are going to be destroyed. For forestation is going to be
Yeah.
gone, some of
Vegetable.
them.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the payback? What's the compensation? Compensation is going to make it sustainable because if we're losing on this end, we have to gain on the other end. So it's sustainable. Across board is fair. We have to do that. Then the second thing is to look at our finances, the
Mm.
FX risk mitigation. All right. Where we don't over depend on dollars. All right.
Yeah.
Encouraging local currency in transaction and contracts that we establish.
Mm.
So we do not put pressure on the prices of dollars for it to always be outperforming our cities.
Yeah.
So we need that physical risk mitigations as well. So these two are critical factors to ensure sustainability as we
Yeah.
pursuing the re-engineering of the economy. Yes.
Yeah, Professor, thank you very much. Now, Professor, what is the role of entrepreneurship in terms of driving Ghana's sustainable development?
I think that's the key to growth, the private sector. All right. If we really want to grow our economy, that's where the concentration needs to be. And if you look at the statistics
Yeah.
of what is out there, for example, in the US,
Mm.
80% of the jobs that we have in the US are provided by what you would call SMEs, small businesses. 80% of our jobs are provided by the SMEs. So it tells you that the private sector is what will grow your economy.
Okay.
So now, everything we're going to do has to be how we're going to empower them, how we're going to build capacity, how we're going to infuse technology into how they do things, how we're going to bring them up to speed so they can meet certain protocols. They can
Mm.
meet the demands of the rest of the world,
Okay.
locally and abroad. Particularly taking advantage of now what is emerging, the emerging market, I call them, the China EU market protocols. These are
Yeah.
all the China protocols are something that we have to be able to, the small scale industries in Ghana needs to be able to and understand and be able to leverage the opportunities that has to do with doing businesses with the BRICS and the rest of the world. All
Yeah.
right. So how are they placed? Do they have access to all these resources and capacities and capabilities? All right. And then to even start, do they have capital? How is the interest rate? Is it favorable? 25%? That's going to be hard for some people to even borrow on their business to get started. What is the
Mm.
protocols? What sets your business? What's the scoring system that will make money accessible to them? What's the
Yeah.
criteria of ensuring that a small business is eligible for a funding? Where's the clarity? Right now in Ghana, if a small business wants to take a loan, they're not sure how to even set themselves up to go about getting these resources. And that's why I said in the first answer, decentralization will allow these offices to be set up in our communities that the small businesses can go and be taught how to even place your business and put together a business structure that will be eligible for certain capital or funds. And
Yeah.
that's what we have.
Yeah. Professor, you have given a good example about these private sector should be empowered, right? Now, how should the government partner with them? Because if you're talking about funds, providing funds to the private sector, and you said that the entrepreneurs are the key, and they are those who are going to produce most of the employment in the economy. So, how should the government partner with them in terms of empowering them as well?
How we should partner them is to make sure that there is an office. Number one, set up an office that has to do with small businesses. In the US, we have a small business administration,
Okay.
SBAs. The SBA administration, the chief executive of the SBA administration or the director of the SBA, his job is to research on what these business needs and then come up with products and solutions that is tailored to them. Is it training? I've attended SBA trainings that had to do with digital marketing, accounting, finance, all provided free of charge by SBA. Not only do they provide funds, they give you training to make your
Okay.
business better.
Wow.
So we have a whole office set up for this. And the
Mm.
constitution, funded by the government. Do we have such an office that is actually funded and led by economists? The person directing the SBA is an economist because it's a growth driven approach. Everything we're talking about is economic growth. So don't go and appoint a political person who has no background in economics to lead such an administration. We're just going to be in one place. That's our problem. Everything we talked about when it comes to solution, that is economics, we bring a political person to deal with it, and he has no idea what the office is supposed to do other than to be a politician in front of everything. So when we put in square pegs in round holes, then we have nothing. We're not going to go anywhere. You wanna see it, go read at the profile of people leading these institutions that we're trying to establish and be like them.
Mm.
Yes, it's going to be a political appointment, but expertise is what they bring, not a
Yeah.
political person. The fact that somebody is a political person doesn't mean that they should head all organizations and institutions, even if they're inexperienced and
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
the competence for it.
Mm.
Yes, you would do the appointment, but you can look within your party or even outside your party. Where are the expertise? Who should I bring that will benefit the country? Is the country your driver or is there the party your driver?
Mm.
If it's seven people your driver, which I believe all of them say on their lips that they're driving the country forward, they intend to drive the country forward, then give me an expert. When you set up small, medium enterprises, the institution has to be led by someone who understands how to grow something economically, because that's where the solutions will happen.
Mm.
So they build programs that empowers the small SMEs.
Yeah.
I've attended so many of them. All right. I've taken their classes, whether it's financial, how to even set up yourself to be eligible for government funds, they will guide you.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
how is it feel like?
Exactly. And your last submission here has been it's one of the most challenging parts of this country because we have this winner takes all approach or style of politics whereby if the NDC comes to power, then all government institution has to be an NDC person governing the institution, regardless of the person's qualification or knowledge in the field. And this has been a challenge for Ghana almost since our transitioning to this uh, Fourth Republic. And it is so unfortunate that at this stage we are still having this winner takes all kind of politics in this country. Professor, thank you very much. Now, our final question is: what lessons can Ghana learn from other countries, from other emerging economies that have successfully re-engineered their economic models?
Like I said, examples are everywhere. I don't even know which ones to pick up, but we live in the current, trend of technology. So let me give you some examples that are current and modern day examples.
Mm.
There is something happening in Morocco. These are African, most of the examples I'm going to cite are African examples. All right.
Yeah.
Morocco, they leverage uh, targeted incentives plus zones to build the Africa's largest auto platform now. And it's now anchoring an EV battery supply chain. This is happening in Morocco.
Yeah.
It's called Goshen Gigafactory. Morocco is bringing all of that. They're going to have the EV battery supply chain that Africa has never had. So Ghana can also adopt such a system and have a cluster model of agro processing and green metals. I mentioned if we look at us, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, these are countries surrounding us, right? Look at our competence. If Right now, Burkina Faso has led the development of tomato. What is it that we can lead? Is it cocoa? Let's bring all those expertise in the region and build that cocoa hub manufacturing over here. We can do that. That's what
Yeah.
Morocco did. Vietnam, which was once in the war, also
Mm.
have led in electronics right now. Most of the phones that you have in your hands, they're producing the electronic parts right now. Deeper supply development.
Yeah.
What did they do? Disciplined industrial policy, plus logistics and training of human capital, tech
Mm.
skills, has led them to now, because China is overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
we needed a second power, and Vietnam has taken the lead. What is Africa doing? Right? What is Ghana doing?
Mm.
Vietnam has stepped in now electronics. They highly involved. Most of the parts of your phone are made in Vietnam. All right. Then you
Yeah.
come to Africa again, we can look at Ethiopia. They have industrial parks that can create factory, like jobs that require, technology in terms of, fintech. They're leveraging that tremendously. If you want to know what the Momo, the e-payments system is going to do, look at Ethiopia and see how they're leveraging that in moving the economy faster. Then we can look at Rwanda
Mm.
and look at how they've digitalized business processes,
Yeah.
registration of businesses within less than 6 hours. When can we achieve such things? So examples are everywhere. We can go
Mm.
on and on and on and on and on. We just have to
Okay.
pick one or two things that we think we can actually make a difference on and pursue it. And we can do it.
Yeah, Professor, thank you very much. We are running out of time. In short, in a few minutes, how would you summarize this whole discussion in the Hausa language for the benefit of those who are watching who do not really understand our conversation in the English language?
Ato jama'a masu sauraron mu mun tattauna kan abin nan ci gaban kasa, tattalin arziki da sauransu, inda yau muka dauko maudu'in mu kan abin da ake ce da economic transformation da sustainable development. Wato economic transformation hausance an ce a sake tafiyar da ci gaban kasan ta wani hanyar zamani kenan muke nufi. To ya za mu yi irin wa'annan, sannan kuma da zai sa ba mu cutan 'yan baya, shine sustainable development. Wato kenan wanda amfani zai zama tutur, ba wani amfani ne da muke son mu sake yanayin ci gabanmu ba da zai sa 'yan baya su kuma cuce su. To wannan muka tattauna, muka doko abin nan, wato examples ko kuma karatu garruka da yawa da suka yi abin da muke so mu yi, amma takaice abin da muka gano ne cewa mu kasancewa yanzu muke son mu yi wasu ababen nan, muna da dama, shine daman waɗanda ke gabanmu mu doki karatu cikin ababen da suka yi da ke da kyau, da mu kuma za mu yi mu kawo ya mana amfani. Har yanzu
Mm.
muna cewa shugabanninmu muna fatan sun duba su mana gaskiya cikin kawo ababen da zai kawo mana amfani, ya zama amfanin da mu yau za mu samu, yan bayan mu ba za su cutu ba, insha Allah. To a
Okay.
takaice abin da muka tattauna kenan.
Okay, Professor, thank you very much. Before we wrap up the show real quick, Professor, what is your final submission of our discussion today?
I think I would like us to look at what is happening, geopolitical shift that's happening, and the reason why this topic is very important, that we place ourselves to take advantage of what is happening in the political scene, where
Mm.
the power shift slowly is moving away from the West to the South-South partnership. If you look at the SEO meeting that happened in China
Yeah.
between, for the first time, India, Russia, and China coming together, that tells you that there's a power shift, whether the West likes it or not, it's shifting. The
Yeah.
question is, what are we doing to take advantage of that? Because these partnerships are going to be different from what we pursue with the West. This is a partnership of friendship and development and economic growth for our own people. That is what they're saying. So, for the first time, we're going to be challenged to come to a table with a solution that is going to benefit everyone, not a solution that's going to be tailored towards one party taking advantage of the other one.
The other. Yeah.
So the question is, what are we doing? So as leaders listening to us, think about how can we position ourselves as a country, leverage our competence, resources, and go to these tables of discussion at an equal level. So that's what I want us to think about.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor. It's been a really insightful and educative show. And thank you too for watching. You can watch this program anytime by visiting our Facebook page at Olympiad TV. Don't forget to like, share, and also leave your comments at the comment section below. I think we'll call today's program. We held discussions on economic transformation and sustainable development, and we did tackle re-engineering Ghana's economic model for sustainable development. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. So until next time, it is bye for now.